When Sam took the night security job at the old Riverside Medical Center, he didn't believe the stories about the abandoned fifth floor. After 20 years of working security, he thought he'd seen it all, but what happened during his first week would prove him terribly wrong. "Just don't go up to 5, his supervisor warned during training. "That floor's been closed since '87. Nothing but old equipment up there now." Sam nodded, but he couldn't help wondering why they kept that floor locked if it was empty. And why did the elevator still stop there, even though the button had been taped over? The first few nights were quiet. Sam did his rounds, checked the cameras, and caught up on his podcasts. But on his fourth night, everything changed. It started with the elevator. Sam was watching the security monitors when he saw it move on its own, climbing past the fourth floor. The indicator stopped on 5. "That's impossible," he muttered. The maintenance log showed nobody had been up there in years. Sam radioed his supervisor. No response, just static. Then the call button lit up. Someone was calling the elevator from the 5th floor. Must be a wiring issue, Sam told himself, trying to stay calm. But then he saw something on the 5th floor camera that made his blood run cold. The camera only showed a dark hallway, but for a split second, he saw a figure walk past, someone in what looked like an old-style nurse's uniform. Sam's hands shook as he rewound the footage. The figure was there, but when he paused the video, its face was just a dark blur. His radio crackled to life. Through the static, he heard a woman's voice. "We need assistance in room 512. Patient is coding. Room 512. Sam had seen that room number before, in an old newspaper article he'd found while researching the job. In 1987, 5 patients had died there in a single night. The official report blamed equipment failure, but the rumors told a different story. Something about a nurse who'd lost her mind. The elevator dinged. Sam turned to see the doors sliding open. Cold air poured out, bringing with it the sharp smell of antiseptic and something else. Something rotten. In the back of the elevator stood a woman in a nurse's uniform. Her face was hidden in shadow, but her hands were stained dark red. "We've been waiting for you, Sam," she said, her voice the same one from the radio. "Room 512 needs you." Sam ran. He didn't stop until he reached his car, and he never went back. The next day, they found the elevator stuck between floors. The security tapes from that night were blank, except for one frame. A clear image of a nurse standing in the elevator, her face twisted into an impossible smile, her name tag clearly visible. Margaret Wells, RN, Psychiatric Ward. When they searched the records, they found Margaret Wells had worked at Riverside in the 1980s. She'd been in charge of room 512 the night those 5 patients died. According to the reports, she'd disappeared that same night, never to be seen again. But here's what the reports don't mention. Every few years, a night security guard quits after their shift at Riverside, all telling the same story, about an elevator that moves on its own, and a nurse who calls them to room 512. The ones who actually answer that call, they're never seen again. Sam still works security, but never at hospitals. Sometimes, though, his phone rings in the middle of the night. When he answers, he hears only static, and beneath it, a woman's voice calling for assistance in room 512. Like, share, and subscribe for more true horror stories. What do you think happened to Margaret Wells that night in 1987? Share your theories in the comments below.